$927 million. That is how much Congress has paid out for security costs in the aftermath of January 6th. The amount includes $70 million to cover Capitol Police salaries and overtime demand, new equipment, as well as training and mental health programs. $300 million to fortify windows, doors, and add new security cameras throughout the complex. And $521 million covered the cost of having the National Guard on the Hill in 2021. Money may be one measure of the physical security efforts that have been underway, but where is Congress at with addressing specific shortfalls revealed during the attack? Is the Hill any safer a year after January 6th?
Yes, and we still have progress we need to make.
Amy Klobuchar chairs the Senate Rules Committee. That panel, along with the Senate's Homeland Security Committee, spent months investigating the security failures. In June, they released a 95-page report containing 20 recommendations to enhance security, including ways to address gaps in intelligence sharing. What's one specific recommendation that you think was the most important one to implement this year?
New police chief. The second thing was the changes that we have made surrounding the ability, if there is a crisis, to one, prevent it from happening, and then two, respond to it. So we just passed, and it will be signed into law, a bill that says, that I led with Senator Blunt, that the chief should be able to more easily call into the National Guard and get them over. The thought that the chief was trying to call the two sergeant-at-arms who were battling insurrectionists in their chamber to get permission to call in the Guard is the definition of absurdity in a crisis. So now we have changed that requirement, and under limited circumstances, the chief can call in the Guard. We also have required them to have a much better incident planning. One of the most haunting memories from that day was the officer on the police radio calling in the middle of the insurrection. Does anyone have a plan? Does anyone have a plan? And now they do. They have plans going into major events, as they did this summer. Equipment. In one case, their equipment was locked into a bus and they couldn't access it. So we passed another bill that was signed into law by the president that provided resources for more equipment.
There are a number of recommendations that have not yet been fulfilled yet or implemented. What do you think is going to be the hardest one to implement?
Recruiting more officers. The second thing is intertwined with the former president's assault on our democracy, and that is that we have now seen over 8,000 threats on members of Congress. Over 8,000. That's double what we saw 3 years ago. But the threats on the members of Congress is directly under the jurisdiction of the Capitol Police or their local police when they come home. So I see that as a major challenge, not of the police making by any means, but a major challenge for security.
The Inspector General of the Capitol Police Force testified on December 7th, telling senators that out of 104 recommendations he has made, only 30 of them by that time had been carried out. And multiple times, he shared with senators his top worry.
Department still lacks an overall training infrastructure to meet the needs of the department.
The training is really still deficient.
Representative Zoe Lofgren chairs the House Administration Committee, which shares in some of the oversight of the Capitol Police. Lofgren points to a recent lapse as a possible example of insufficient training in a stretched thin and traumatized police force.
A short while ago, an employee of the administrator's office went through the metal detector in the Longworth building with a gun. Now, the officers there, noticed the gun, but only after the person had retrieved their belongings and left the station. That person, we lucked out. He wasn't someone with a hostile intent, but that was completely unacceptable. And so I've written a very long letter to the chief asking for what he's going to do about this, because that is completely unacceptable from a security posture, and I'm awaiting his response.
It's pretty easy to secure a building these days. Why do we have windows that can be broken on the first floor of the Capitol? Why don't we have an automated system that when a button is pushed, metal doors shut on all the entrances? Is that part of your analysis?
Not specifically, because those type of issues really almost fall under the architect of the Capitol.
Lofgren's committee oversees the architect of the Capitol, the agency that maintains the nearly 300 acres that make up the campus. She says more funding and historic preservation are foremost challenges.
Are there barriers to putting in actual hard infrastructure to secure the building?
The $1.9 billion appropriations that we sent that the Senate Republicans killed started doing some of those things. There are things that need to be done to harden the building. Now, we've got to, respect that this is a historic building and the security measures undertaken should not destroy this beautiful center of our government. I mean, that Lincoln was in that building, but we can harden it consistent with that. There are a lot of things that need to be done, and the budget has not been made available to do it.
The issue of security is expected to be a regular staple of business on the Hill, with more hearings and reports to come.
So the work will continue.
The work will continue.
Do you feel safe in the complex right now? Knowing what you know about security gaps and what needs to be done, do you feel safe?
Mostly. There are holes. I'm not going to go into them because that's like an invitation to exploit the holes. There are many efforts being made to keep Capitol Complex safe. I thank not only those who are doing the planning, but the line officers who are working so hard under really trying circumstances to do that. I think we need to, give them support, improve the situation. I go to work every day, and I'm not afraid to do that.